So I think my biggest flaw in my career is that I'm ultimately too public about many of the things that I experience, many of the things that I go through, and many of the things I think about. I don't know of anybody else that is as public as me in terms of seeing, my inner dialogue, what I'm going through, all of these, wonderful moments of life. And I think it's for all of the people that are out there, I'm hoping that it sort of hits somebody in the right way to make them feel that, that they're totally normal. Um, but it's also my biggest flaw because, if you were to actually interact with me on a day-to-day basis, I am pretty open and honest, for better or for worse. And I don't like strategic behavior. I don't and it really puts a bad taste in my mouth when I interact with anybody that, I later find out that there was strategic behavior that's going on. First of all, it's almost always obvious that there is something that's going on. It's quite easy to sort of tell. Um, and I've gotten way better at that as I've aged and had more and more experience. I think I always was just really, I always sensed it, but I didn't acknowledge my spidey sense or my intuition as much. And now I acknowledge it a lot more. If I get kind of weird feelings, with any interaction, I sort of recognize it as that there's probably something that's not authentic that's actually going on. There's probably some strategic behavior that happens, and inevitably with interactions that matter in my life, it's not all interactions, right? Like it's not like I care about an interaction at a grocery store with the cashier, although I do like the cashier. um, it's just not something that is not necessarily as important in my life as something else that is going on. But I am much more open now in paying attention to these kind of tiny moments, um, that I know there's a lot of inauthenticity, just people not necessarily people filtering information at the get-go. Um, And I'm just very well aware of that now. And I think like me being growing up in a very healthy family, I mean, in a lot of ways it kind of bizarro family, but in a lot of ways I look at it and I think it was a sort of healthy family. Um, that it protected me from a lot of the strange moments that happen in life, and now I'm just really well aware of them, and it took me many years, decades of kind of figuring out, like, "Is this me? What's happening here?" And it's just what I'm saying here is the recognition that pay attention to those moments, right? Like, really look at them, and what you'll find is there's only a few people in your life, very few people that will be open and honest, um, and those people are far between that are actually looking out for you, that really care about you in a positive way, right? And they just simply they don't exist as much as you think that they exist in life. Um, and I think that there is a lot of people that misinterpret the working world, and in my view, misinterpret. I don't, maybe they're the correct interpretation. I have the incorrect one. I think that's why I sort of say I'm too open and honest and authentic. And, um, I keep my heart open for heartbreak, right? And what what I would suggest is that there's just few people that you can actually interact with and have these kind of really deep moments that are really positive experiences for everybody without any strategic behavior. I think if you come into and many people are taught, and I think it's the fault of most business schools. I think it's the fault of business education. I really strongly blame us. I blame educators that we teach people to be strategic, and we teach people that being strategic is a positive thing. And in my experience, yeah, it's a positive thing in a one little tiny, really narrow, defined objective, but of accomplishing something or whatever it is. But in general, it destroys and erodes tremendous amount of culture, tremendous amount of trust. It's in general any sort of strategic behavior. It's just harmful. It's just outright harmful. Now, if that strategic behavior is cooperating and being open and honest, um, and being as best as you possibly can, that's a different story, right? Like being the open and honest and showing all of your warts and all of that stuff. That's a different story. But interacting in a way where it's strategic to get ahead, um, when you are really trying to get ahead at all costs, that is just genuinely harmful for almost every interaction you're going to get. Um, so what I would, takeaways from this, right? The first thing is if you are open and honest, just expect it's not really going to benefit you in your career. In the short term, maybe in the long term, the jury is out. Um, the second thing is most of your interactions